Yeah.
Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. Out of the 4 SEC coaching changes during this offseason, you can make a case that Vanderbilt's was the least surprising. The Commodores finally parted ways with Derek Mason after 7 years with the program. 7 years too long, I would say. So we're here to break down why this change made sense, why it was time for Derek Mason to leave Nashville, and what Vanderbilt fans need to expect, what the SEC needs to expect, with Clark Lea now coming over to be the head man of the Commodores. So you take a look at Derek Mason, guys. Again, we said 7 years too long. He was hired in 2014, just got fired in 2020, so 7 seasons with the program, went 27-55, went 10-46 in SEC play. That's unacceptable. And we know that Vanderbilt, out of all of the SEC schools, Vanderbilt is one of those programs, guys, that I don't think anybody ever expects to contend for an SEC title, at least in football. Not against the likes of Florida and Georgia and Alabama and LSU, guys like that. I don't think anybody expects them. Vanderbilt, we know, they hold themselves to a very high standard, higher than many others because of their academics. Vanderbilt's not going to be that SEC power, but they can be a team that consistently makes a bowl game. And we know that's possible because James Franklin did it many years ago before he went to Penn State. So Derek Mason, just 27-55 during his 7 years with the program, never had a winning season, never produced a winning season, went to just 2 bowl games with the Commodores in 2016 and 2018. Keep in mind, both those years they barely just got in at 6-6 and then lost both of those bowl games. And you look at all that, guys, and it was time. It was time. How can you justify? I thought he would be fired before the 2020 season. I didn't think he'd make it to 2020. I was surprised when Vanderbilt kept him. Where do you draw the line? Again, you know Vanderbilt's not going to be this elite power, but no winning seasons, only 2 bowl appearances, didn't win a bowl game. It's time to jump ship. Time to part ways. Derek Mason is out of Nashville. He landed a great job, though. He has now joined Brian Harson's staff at Auburn, where he is now the defensive coordinator. So you've got a former SEC head coach and a guy who has great defensive experience. Keep in mind, Derek Mason came in as a defensive mind at Vanderbilt, now joining the staff at Auburn with a brand new head coach. So Mason's just fine, but again, might just be one of those guys where you're not cut out to be a head coach, but you are cut out to be an assistant. So he is out of Nashville, which means Clark Lea is the brand new man to lead this Vanderbilt team, the guy to hopefully come in, turn around this Vanderbilt program, and destabilize it. Get it to, I would hope, to the point where James Franklin had it, again, many years ago. I mean, remember, Franklin was winning 9 games with Vanderbilt, was going to bowl games, was winning bowl games. He could do that. And I think if he had stayed, he really could have built something very special down in Nashville. But Clark Lea comes in, and I like this hire a lot. I really like this hire for a lot of reasons. First thing is Lea is very young, just 38 years old. 38 years old. It's pretty young to be a head coach anywhere, let alone a head coach in the SEC. 38 years, played fullback at Vanderbilt from 2002 to 2004. That is very important to me. I love it when schools go out there and bring back former players to coach, whether it's at a head coaching position or just to be on the staff. They bring back a former player. They bring back a guy that went to school there. They're bringing someone in that knows the culture. They know what the city is like, what the program expects, and that is huge. That is huge. I think it's something that's very underrated. It's important to bring someone in that understands the school. It's not there just for the money, but because they genuinely care about their program. And Clark Lea is one of those people. He comes in very young, as we mentioned, without any prior head coaching experience, and that's to be expected. But he comes in as the defensive coordinator from Notre Dame, defensive coordinator for the Fighting Irish from 2018 to 2020. And if you look at the numbers, guys, he was one of the best coordinators in all of college football, and a guy that I don't think was getting a lot of respect, at least as not attention as he should have. Look at the numbers here. Defensive coordinator for Notre Dame from 2018 to 2020. In 2018, the Fighting Irish went 12-1, made the college football playoffs. Notre Dame had the 13th ranked scoring defense in the country. The following year, 2019, second year under Lee, 11-2 for Notre Dame, 12th ranked scoring defense. And as we all know, this last year, Notre Dame, 10-2, made the college football playoff again, had the 14th ranked scoring defense. In 3 years as defensive coordinator for Notre Dame, Clark Lea never had a defense that ranked outside of the outside of the 15 nationally. Never had a defense that ranked outside of the top 15 nationally. He never had a team that allowed more than 20 points per game on average over the course of a season. These defenses were elite, and a major reason why Notre Dame made 2 college football playoff appearances in a very short amount of time. 2 playoff appearances in the span of just 3 years. Credit Brian Kelly for that, but credit Clark Lea for that too. Defense wins championships. I know Notre Dame never got one, but they got pretty dang close thanks to this defense. So you look at what Lee's dealing with right now. I mean, again, got a guy that knows the culture. He's young, thrived at an elite school at Notre Dame against some elite competition. Say what you want about Notre Dame's schedule. They've played some elite competition over the years. He inherits a young team down in Nashville right now, and I think that's something that you have to keep in mind. Don't expect him to go out there and make a bowl game in year 1. That would be ridiculous. That'd be ridiculous. I mean, if he does that, he'll be a god down in Nashville. He will be a god down in Nashville if he gets them to a bowl game in year 1. He inherits a very young team. Derek Mason, for his final year, did not have a lot of veterans, but he did have veterans in the years prior, wasn't able to do anything with it. But I think this is a team that does have promise. This team in Vanderbilt, they didn't win a single game last year. And the entire SEC slate didn't win a single game. But at times, they showed competitiveness. They showed some fight. And they showed that under their quarterback in Ken Seals. He was a freshman at the time, going to be a sophomore coming into year 2. Set Vanderbilt freshman records with over 1,900 passing yards, completed 64.6% of his passes, and had 12 touchdowns, had 3 300-plus yard passing games, guys. This guy was just a freshman on what I would say the young, inexperienced, and just straight-up bad Vanderbilt football team. Now he's coming in with year 2. If he could do that last year, imagine what he can do now with a new coach, with a new staff. Ken Seals can take a major step forward. As a young team, they've got promise. And by year 2, year 3 under Clark Lea, you could see this team break through and win 6 or 7 games. I'm not ruling that out. The biggest thing that I think Clark Lea needs in year 1 is, yes, you want to win football games, no doubt about it. But Vanderbilt just needs to see competitiveness. They need to see some fight from their football program. You look at the numbers here again. Over the last 3 years under Derek Mason, Vanderbilt has lost 25 games. They have lost 25 games over the last 3 years. Only seven of those 25 losses have come by 1 possession. So when Vanderbilt loses, more times than not, it's not even close. It's not even close. And that's sometimes to be expected against your elite opponents. But when they're facing middle of the pack, lower tier SEC teams, sometimes lower tier out of conference opponents, and they're getting beat handily, that's a problem. It's a major problem. And I think that's all going to change, certainly under Clark Lea. He brings the intensity. We saw that at Notre Dame. We're going to see it now as a head coach. He brings the intensity. He raises the expectations. He's going to get the best out of his players just like he did every year at Notre Dame. Nothing is going to change at Vanderbilt. Nothing for Clark Lea in terms of his style is going to change at Vanderbilt. So what is the grade for Clark Lea? What are we going to give this hire down in Nashville? Well, I genuinely hope this is not Derek Mason 2.0. Derek Mason came in as a brilliant defensive mind. That's why Vanderbilt hired him, thought he could come in, implement that same defensive scheme in the SEC. It didn't pan out. So I hope that's not the case again, where they're bringing in a brilliant defensive mind in Clark Lea, hoping to implement what he did at Notre Dame in the SEC, and it all falls apart. I hope that's not the case, and I don't think that's the case. I really don't think that's the case. I think Clark Lea's very different. I think he's very different. I'm going to give this hire a B+. I don't think it's good enough to be a full A minus, whatever. I'm not putting it up there yet, but this is a B+. And I again circle back to the experience that he had at Vanderbilt. The 2 years that he played football, 2-3 years that he played football at Vanderbilt, that is huge, whether you like it or not. Someone that knows the expectations of Vanderbilt, knows how difficult it is to go to school at Vanderbilt, but still understands the culture and the tradition and clearly cares about the program, that's a big deal. That's a huge, huge deal. And sometimes I think people like that can succeed more at their programs than someone that's just coming there because it's a better opportunity, better money, whatever. That's a big deal that Clark Lea knows Vanderbilt. So he's going to come in. We're giving him a B+. The question is whether or not in a few years he can get this team to multiple bowl games. That's the expectation down in Nashville. They know they're not going to contend for SEC titles. I hate to rain on your parade, but being realistic here, with the elite teams in the SEC, they're just not going to do that. But you have an 8 or 9 win season every now and then. You consistently get to bowl games. That's what Vanderbilt fans should be happy about, what they can be happy about, and that can be done, and it will be done here in a few years. I mark my words. Clark Lea, I believe, is the right man for the job. B+ hire down in Nashville. Keep an eye on the Commodores over these next few years. I think they're going to be a lot of fun to watch and a potential feel-good story in the world of college football. So guys, thank you so much for watching us here at The Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos. Also check out everything down in the description below. We have so much exclusive content for you down there. Our website, thegridironexpert.com, our Patreon account, our BetNow account. Everything down there is for you to help you get through this long and grueling offseason. So make sure to give it a look. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching. And we'll see you next time right here on The Gridiron Expert.